Okay, now we talk about how to bring about the truth in a responsible way. Okay, because you can't just talk about the truth like I did and just leave it at that. That would be irresponsible of me, wouldn't it now? So, how to bring about the truth in a responsible way. Okay, first of all, there is free will, which is everything you're gonna be inspired to do, everything you're gonna be inspired to make choices about is already happening around you, has already been created by the Most High. We manifest inspiration, we don't create. If you never saw it in nature, you never get the idea to manifest it. So you're creating something that's already been created by nature. Okay? So when you get your eureka moment or your epiphany, yeah, where you get a bright idea, you can trace it. You can say, how did I get this bright idea? Well, an apple fell on me and I was thinking, how the hell did that? So whenever you get inspired to come up with a bright idea, that's your opportunity to choose. Before you choose to carry out that idea, you got to think about, before you choose to investigate that idea, I should say, you got to think about what sources of information you're going to be using. Are you just going to be using what I call outer space? That is space beyond the skull. That means everything outside of your mind. Yeah. Are you going to be using just what's outside of your mind as a source of information? Or are you going to be using what's in your mind? Because scientists do experiments with us and they ask us, how do you feel? And then they look at your brainwave patterns, electronic activity in your brainwaves, and they say, right, whenever you see this brainwave pattern, they're thinking that. But, that's very subjective because words are very ambiguous. So their data is going to be ambiguous. Um, and you can't have ambiguity in programming, it just doesn't work that way. But quantum physics, you never know. So, um, but that's still in its infancy, so they're not there yet. Uh, so where was I? Yeah. So if the source of information is going to be coming from inside of your head, you're going to be basing it on what? On the activity in your mind. Yeah. As in, your minds. Yeah. You know what you, in your experience, as viewed from your mind by you. You also view what's in your mind. You see dreams. If you're going to base it on something that happened in your mind, or are you going to base it on something that happened in the real world? You do all this before choosing to investigate it. Now, once you've figured that out, yeah, then you look at which ways, whatever your findings are, yeah, which ways are you going to be communicating your findings? Which ways are your findings going to be communicated to the rest of the population? There's telecommunications, and other recorded media, body language, and speech. These are the only things you got. Recorded media, language, speech, and body language, and also telecommunications, Yeah, information technology. And there's also nature based, those are conscious based transmissions of communication, right? Because you consciously make telecommunications architecture, and you consciously make recorded media, and you consciously, do sign language, and you consciously speak. We'll say 99% of the time, demons can possess you, and you speak. But anyway, for argument purposes, you consciously speak. But there's also unconscious or nature-based ways that knowledge gets transmitted and communicated to others. There's the 100th monkey effect, where if 100 members of a group of animals understand something, then the rest of the species start to unconsciously know it. So there's that transmission and communication. And then there's unconscious expressions, the things that viruses do, yeah, where they exploit our ability to express ourselves unconsciously. So where people start scratching without knowing they're doing it, yeah, start coughing without knowing it, and this has a domino effect and triggers other people to do it. So that's also a communication or transmission method or technique. So once you've identified how what you're going to find is going to be transmitted, then you have to figure out if what kind of side effects you're going to have. Yeah, if everybody started to know this, to know what you're trying to investigate. Yeah, everyone's responsibility to manage the truth. It's everyone's responsibility. Then you have to figure out whether there will be adverse reactions. Yeah, to what you intend to discover. Yeah, and if you still decide, then you choose based on that, should I carry on investigating this path or not? If you choose to, then you go back to the sources of information and gather as much information as you can about your chosen path. If it's inner space, try and see what works in your head to gather as much information. If it's of outer space, go to all the sources we have: libraries, research centers, Google, and and find out as much information and only concentrate and reinforce what works. Reinforce what works. Yeah. Once you reinforce what works, then you have a finished product. You have something that's come. Even artificial intelligence is learning, is getting its intelligence like that. They make it go around bumping into things, and in the end, it learns not to bump into things just by reinforcing what works. Yeah, and that's what we do, but we just want artificial intelligence to do that for us because we're lazy. But then if we can't do that, anyway. So if the artificial intelligence emerges truth in that way, yeah, that's how we consciously emerge truth. Yeah, this is scientific. It's pseudo-scientific because I've added in my own components. Yeah, and so you reinforce what works, and when you've reinforced what works, try again. Reinforce what works, try again. If there's nothing to add to what works, then your current solution is the truth. Yeah, and now you know the truth, and that's your conclusion, and then you conclude. Yeah, that's how we know what's true. Yeah. But before knowing what's true, you have to be responsible. You have to choose whether to tell people about it or not. Yeah. And people will know once you know. So I choose not to realize certain things which I know will compromise me because everybody's acting competitive towards each other. And you can't be oblivious to the fact that we're all competitors in this world. So I choose not to see things in my mind that will compromise me because I know as a targeted individual that other people are seeing there. So choosing what to understand, I'm at that level where I'm having to consider choosing what to understand as something that's beneficial to me in terms of my preservation and for the preservation of mankind. Yeah, that responsibility there. Yeah, it starts from selfishness. If I want to preserve myself, look after the pennies, the pounds look after themselves. If I want to preserve myself, as I'm doing that, you know, the pounds will take care of themselves. The rest of the species will be better for it. Yeah. So you have to choose how to bring about the truth. in a responsible way. That's it. 10 minutes are up.